What's up, Nation? Welcome to another edition of the Wise Take MLB First Look. CK013 here. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013. We got a 14-game slate on Friday. 14 games on Friday. This slate has a little bit of everything. We've got some marquee pitchers such as Bumgarner, Nola, Bieber, Bauer, and we've got some pretty big offensive spots, including Coors Field, in which the Pirates just put up, I think, 11 runs last night. So there's kind of a lot. What there's not a ton of is cheap pitching. I think the cheap pitching is fairly weak. I'm not very confident in it. So just kind of going through on the first look, I think it might be like a double mid-tier day for me, or if I can find a value stack I like, maybe a high mid for pitching. But pitching is fairly deep, or at least on the surface, so I would think that the ownership could be pretty spread out. In regards to cash games, I think Bieber, Nola, Bauer, or Baum are all acceptable for SP1s. To be honest, I think you could even maybe drop a little lower to Kyle Gibson, though I do prefer him in tournaments because I think he's just less stable than Baum, Bauer, Nola, and Bieber. And Bauer hasn't even been that stable this year, but I don't know if it's such a clear, obvious choice, especially with Coors on the slate. And I will say, again, I don't like the SP2 options on the cheaper end. So curious to see where people go. This year, it's been a trend to prioritize the bats, especially in cash. So I could see Gibson falling into favor just because people don't want to spend, the money for the other options. Again, the mid-tier, not like lock strong, but relatively strong in that there are a lot of options. I think starting with Anibal Sanchez against Miami. Anibal is 8-8, so he barely qualifies for the mid-tier, but he is coming off of probably the best game of his season against the Cubs. And he gets a matchup with Miami, who's been pretty good to attack lately. And Marco Gonzalez gets the Rangers. Marco's looked a lot better lately, and the Rangers have looked awful against left-handed pitching. We've seen lefties like Heaney go in there and dominate. Obviously, Marco is not a high strikeout pitcher usually, but the Rangers could help. The only downside here is the game's in Arlington, one of the better hitting parks out there. We'll want to check the weather for that game to confirm. Dylan Bundy's only 8,100. He did well against the Royals the last time out. And that was in Baltimore. This is going to be a much better park. But we want to check the weather. Believe it or not, the last couple of days, Kansas City's had some of the best hitting weather because it's been really hot and humid and winds have been blowing out. So another situation we want to keep an eye on. But I think my favorite at the moment is Max Fried against the White Sox. He's home. Not like a awesome park, but the White Sox have been pretty bad lately in general. Now, they've been pesky to lefties, especially with Tim Anderson coming back, but they have still just generally been bad. And I do think Fried is a solid pitcher. His price is down, so I'd like to take advantage of that. Down from what it usually is. We've seen him real cheap this season, but it's down for what it was recently. So that's what kind of forces me on to some of the cheaper dudes. Like, reaching Bieber in this cash game just seems like very difficult, so I don't think I get there. Hypothetically, if I do go with Gibson and I just play the opponents, right? Detroit and the Chicago White Sox are arguably two of the worst teams in the American League. Teams in the league, you can argue. But it gives you 41-25, so you'll be able to grab a few key bats from Coors and then, kind of use value to coast. So I kind of like that build. For tournaments, the SP1s could be rotated. I still have a hard time coming off of Fried, which worries me that he's going to be extremely popular tomorrow. There are guys you can hope and pray with, like Eliza Hernandez at 5'7". I think this kid is a good pitcher. He's had some tough matchups, still ending up with positive points, still getting strikeouts, and now he gets Washington. Washington's tough to strike out, and they've been a hot offense, but he's probably the lowest I go. He's probably the only guy in this section that I could consider as of now. So, other than that, I'm going back to the top, and maybe you take a chance on some of these higher upside guys that'll have lower ownership because they've been struggling, like a Zach Wheeler, although Philly has been starting to heat up, or something like that. I think that, it's just hard to reach the guys at the top. So I wonder what Bieber will be owned, because I think a lot of people may stop at Nola. Mets are on like a 5 or 6 game losing streak or something. They've been terrible offensively, so curious to see what Bieber's ownership looks like tomorrow. As far as offenses, addressing cores first, I think that I do prefer the Colorado side today. So I like them both. I like Pittsburgh, all that good stuff last night. But today I think I prefer... Sensatella's a guy that just seems to troll more times than not. I do think this Aguilar guy is terrible, and he does not strike dudes out typically. Against Cincinnati, he had 5 Ks, but still gave up 4 earned, 7 hits. And that was in Pittsburgh. So, yeah, I think last time he was in a hitter's park was in Cincinnati, and he gave up 2 dongs. So I do think the Rockies would be the priority if I was going to go to Coors, which I don't even know if it's worth it because of the ownership. I think the Rockies side is definitely the side I prefer. After that, the Twins, of course, against Edwin Jackson. Gave up 2 homers, 6 earned last time against them. Before that, he was kind of trolling everybody, and that's why people weren't really attacking him much, but it is the Twins. They hit a ton of home runs, and it is Edwin Jackson, Detroit's bullpen, so they certainly stand out. I'm sure they'll be popular. The Yankees, I kind of like, and I'm curious to see what their ownership is. They've just been playing really well, and now they're coming home to Yankee Stadium, to the Bronx, against a lefty that does not strike dudes out typically in Brett Anderson. Oakland swept them in Oakland. So I'm sure the Yankees have some revenge on their mind. I do like the Yankees offense, and I'm starting to think that they may be lower owned than they should be, right? If people go to Minnesota and everybody goes to Coors like they usually do, maybe the Yankees aren't as high owned. Interesting. Needless to say, there's a lot of everything. A lot of pitching. The only thing there's not a lot of is cheap pitching. But Elijah's looking more and more attractive the more you look at this. But I do like the Yankees a lot. All right. That's going to do it. Don't forget to check us out at whitestate.com tomorrow. I'll do some top 3s here in a second. But just reminding those of you that haven't checked us out at whitestate.com. We have day passes for $2.50. They'll get you access for 1 full day. And you'll get access to all the MLB content we do. Except for the Slack chat. Slack chat's for monthly members or higher. I highly recommend you guys sign up for the monthly membership or higher to save some money and of course get into the Slack and grind it out with the nation, man. Are the members in there chopping it up every day, breaking slates down, working on their craft, getting better. That's the goal. All right, top 3s. So I think for now, I'm gonna go in order of price, I think, and I'm gonna say Bieber, and that's because in tournaments I don't know if people. No, I can't do that. That would be a game theory only deal. I'm gonna go Kyle Gibson realistically. I'll dig into it tomorrow. Maybe it will be Shane Bieber. But right now, just doing the first look, Kyle Gibson, Max Fried, Eliza Hernandez. Top 3 stacks. We'll go the New York Yankees are my favorite, I think. Yeah, New York Yankees are my favorite. Colorado Rockies, number 2. And I'll go Minnesota Twins for now. I'll dig in and I'll probably find somebody else, but I'll go Minnesota Twins for now. But I do like the Yankees a lot. Dong Watch. Mentioned I like the Yankees. I think Gary Sanchez is hitting a home run. I think Gleyber Torres is hitting a home run. And I think Aaron Judge is hitting a home run. 3 Yankees. I think Gary, Gleyber, and Judge are all homering tomorrow. And again, if people are going to be paying these Coors prices, that means they're not really going to be able to play some of these Yankees, and that makes me like them a little bit more. Still going to need to save money at pitching, though, and that's going to be very, very difficult to do. No question about that. See if I can pull this off. It's doable. It's doable with Eliza. We'll have to see. All right. For myself, the entire Wise Take Nation, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel with notifications bell. Next time I talk to you guys will be Sunday night live, me and Paulie D for the Wise Take Nation podcast, and we will be going over NFL Week 1. Not so much for DFS. We will do a separate DFS show, but more so for the betting side of it. So we're going to take a look at some Week 1 bets, and that'll be Sunday live. Doing dirties. For myself, the entire Wise Take Nation, as always, good luck. Yeah.